if you watched international football over the last 5-6 years and you didn't pick as a footballer and you love football and you didn't pick up anything, if you're on a similar role, have a similar job to do in the game and you didn't pick up anything from Bobby Firmino, it would be a really bad decision, to be honest. So it's like we play in public, so you can watch all the games. You don't need and watching training sessions and stuff like this. So I think Bobby in this role is an inspiration for pretty much every player in a similar position. So that's clear. But now for Cody, with Cody it's like this. It's not. Cody's 23 years old. He was captain of his former club. So I had no clue how that happens that early. And then when he arrived here, you realize, okay, he's a super smart kid. So and really open and really a real team player and stuff like this. On top of that, a really good footballer. So can play this position, can play wide, can play the center, like the real nine, a bit higher up, can play that as well. Double strike, can play that. So all these kind of things. So he can create his own way there on a position. So it's not like we have to do it exactly because nobody can do it like Bobby because nobody is Bobby, and that means you have to find your own way, and I think that's much more important, and that's where Cody is up to. I thought Cody, since he's here, did exceptionally well. We didn't do that well. That is for a new player super difficult to come in a team and it's not clicking. And he did really well in that period. And now when we do better, then obviously people realize maybe his performance as well a bit more positive, and that's it. But from the first day since he's here, is a real joy to work with. I really, really, really hope so, and I think so as well. Yeah.
Just another quick one. You mentioned then about you hoping to learn things that will fall next season. Can you expand on what it is you're looking to see?
So if you want, we learned this season is a lot that how it doesn't work out. So, from a counter-pressing monster to pretty much not existing counter-pressing is, I thought it's a longer way, but it was pretty quick, to be honest. It was like bam, done, pretty much. And getting back to that, getting back to make it really natural to these kind of things, that obviously is not that easy, especially during a season with you constantly play next game. With one is I tell them, by the way, boys. So if counter-pressing, you would just work by telling the boys, by the way, don't forget to counter-press, then it would be really easy. So it's not like that. You need, obviously, when it's gone for us and for different reasons. So frontline defending was not great. That's why midfield was in between. That's why the last line, we had last year very often, or over the last years, very often the discussion about our last line is too high, too risky. That developed a little bit into that, like over the years, because high last line, always good, and had the speed and Ali to sort the things which we got. And then all of a sudden, when we didn't defend that well up front anymore, all of a sudden the last line was too high. But how can you realize that in a second? So what do you stop if you don't defend up front that well, and the last line is still high? Then you tell the last line deeper, or you tell the front line defend better. So these kind of things. So that's how it developed a little bit. That was already last year, slightly the case, when we always discussed being 1-0 down, had to chase the game. In that moment, it's a different game. But before the game, before we started chasing the game, very often it was not like we were up to speed immediately. So things over years which can happen, and you realize it, and then you try to sort it, but you have to screw to turn the right screws. So and that's it. And what was the question, by the way? I forgot that now. Yeah, exactly. So now we know how it doesn't work. So good. That's important information. Now finally we know, because last year when it didn't work out, we still got the result, and other teams realize that now if you have to be on top in each game until the last match, that's really difficult. That's really difficult. I read now, I'm not sure he said it really, but it was a headline. Pep said we are exhausted. Did he say that? Yeah. So surprise. So they play again a season like that, which is super intense. I'm pretty sure he will tell the boys anyway that they have to give their absolute all, and they will do. But it's really tough. And so we had that now, and now we have this year. We have more time in a period where we usually don't have time to train because we still play every 3 days. Now it's 2 weeks again where we play every 3 days, which is fine. But I want to really use the training time we have to create already something which we can build on for next year. How to do it, how to play, how to bring the boys together. So Lucio was hit for half a year, sensational. Then he was out injured pretty much. So is he now settled? Finally, of course not. How could he? So, but now we have time to bring him step by step back into the team. Darwin came in a year when we all, like 3 years ago, when we were absolutely flying, I'm not sure 3 or 2 years ago, whenever, when we were absolutely flying for a strike, it was a pure joy to play with us. Each ball ends up in a box. That would have been for Darwin a pure joy to arrive there and bring the ball. So he can still get more used to all the things we do. Same for Cody. So these things. Diogo, awful year so far with injuries and these kind of things. So that's what we want to do. Same in midfield. Unfortunately, Stefan is now not with us because long-term injury, but he will be back for the preseason, and that's good. So the future started already. Let me say it like this: while we have to win football games now, but we could if we don't qualify for any kind of European competition, it would be obviously a massive disappointment. But we should make sure that it didn't waste time in that period now, and that we really use that already, because the preseason this year will be quite long, the next preseason, but it's anyway pretty short to prepare a long season. And so I hope we can take some things from this season which are more useful than just telling us that was the wrong way.
Last one, Andy, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm just wondering if there's any updates or decision on James Milner's future yet, either from the club's position or from his, given that we're in the final weeks of the season.
No.
You're going to leave it till the end? Or?
Until we have something to say about it, I would thought. That might, whenever that will be.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.